Hey, I just wanted to do a quick video kind of showing how my documentation is written or how I've structured it at least. I don't write any of it. I have the agent itself keep track of this documentation, update it, maintain it, revise it, reference it, etc. So because of the way that these agents work, they're just running under, I think in this case, Claude. Um, so they have a limited context window, as many people know. I don't remember. I think it's 500,000 characters. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Either way, you will surpass that with most large updates or edits in your code. So a lot of us, it wasn't just me, we came to the conclusion that we needed to have some kind of README or a reference, some kind of documentation to keep track of rules, which is essentially what replit was trying to introduce with the replit.md. There's a bunch of different ways. I tried a README with the replit.md and I tried referencing that, but I came to the conclusion that you just need documentation. This is a pattern recognition system. It's going to look for patterns, whether it's in code or whether it's in your own application. So you have to give it the content. So as you're building, you need to create an accurate track record of all the features that you have. So if you build something like, in my case, I have a lot of stuff. If you go to the website, this is my development version. I've just been doing updates, but oh, sorry, it's off right now. Let's just go to the actual live. Okay, so like it's huge. Like we have a lot of I have a lot of components. I've got a lot of little widgets I've built. This is called, I called this its own thing. This is the diamond cards. And then if you go in there, we have this section. It's called the diamond view. All these components all work differently. They all load different components within them. Like this is the diamond 360. So when this loads, this is another module that's built that I had to build, and then it references across the site. All these little cards. The light scoring system is its own thing. It's not active yet. This is its own thing. It pulls from a database of FAQs. This part right here, even though it's not showing any right this second because it's too small of a diamond, I don't have a lot of other ones around the same size and quality. But if you go to, let's go a little bit bigger. All these components all pull obviously from the database, and then they all reference each other in one way or another. But in order to keep everything in order, I had to organize myself as I started adding more and more and more and more things, especially when I started building the back end, because the back end is just as sophisticated as the front end. If you go to the admin panel, I have a lot of components in here too. I've got order management system. I've got return system. I gave a little bit of a preview of this a couple weeks back, but we are managing closer to 1 million diamonds. It will be probably in the next couple months. So it's a lot of data, a lot of content to maneuver through. We have to be able to easily manage this, but the systems that are behind it also need clear documentation. Everything from the UI components. If you look at, I have documentation for the UI design. I've got, even the theme, the templates. I had to start giving it constraints because it would split off into different themes, and it split one theme for this, one theme for that. The front end and the back end have different themes. So everything has to be documented. So when it creates a new component, it will go through like a daisy chain. I say, let's say if I'm introducing something new, like I introduced this thing called the Diamond Scout Swipe. It's still in development, but Diamond Scout Swipe is basically like a little game, like a little app within the system. It'll preload a bunch of diamonds. It'll ask them, forgive the colors, I'm still working on it, but it has a different theme than the rest of the site. So let's say we go through here, select boom mid-range. That's fine. It'll load a bunch of cards, and it'll allow the customer to just quickly go through diamonds like crazy. So I know the sizing I'm still working on a lot of this stuff because on desktop is different than mobile. But yeah, if you go here, boom, boom, it adds them to the compare list. It's full now because I've been messing around with it. don't like that, don't like that, don't like that. So this is just its own, but this whole system works on all the different components. This has been completely documented. The diamond swipe system, it works differently from the diamond filtering system on the front end, or the community. Even I have a community platform I'm building where it interacts with every other thing here. It's going to have a designer system, a little boom click add, design a necklace, a pendant ring. So I have a lot of little moving pieces. You have to document. I emphasize this more than anything. Your documentation, your app is only as good as your documentation, because at the end of it, you are responsible for knowing every bit of this system, like whatever the heck you're building. In my case, I have this thing called the Diamond Scout, and then the light score and Smart Price. They're all documented. The light score calculation, like the clamping, this is all stuff that I built. The security settings, the GeoIP blocking, I explain how that's done. Because these are all components, and eventually somebody needs to help me, or another AI needs to help me. I gotta have the documentation on how the damn thing works. Because otherwise you're gonna be going through and guessing or reading code and misinterpreting it, and then you also kind of encapsulate intent of what you had, the intent of building it, how it connects with other systems, how they're all, so for instance, if you go here, I have the user guide, right? But if the main README has almost an index of all of these components. And then within that component, there's way more stuff. You see this table of contents for the architecture, or for the hierarchical roll-up cache, blah, blah, blah. I think they need to be. See, look, it actually lost track of that, so I have to reconnect it. Oh, no, it just didn't jump down. Never mind. So, it does require extensive documentation to keep something this large working. And I have different, the CSV import system doesn't get updated as often, because we've solidified that. So you're not going to see an update probably for a month, unless there's a bug or something. A guide. I build guides for not just features I've built, but how to integrate with external APIs, because the way we integrate into those APIs is different from any other shopping cart system, because we literally had to build it from scratch. So there's an entire format and an entire set of modules and data structure that you have to consider when pulling data in here. There's just, I call things a certain way. Everything is referenced based on their API. Yes, there's stuff that's standard. Measurements, clarity, that stuff's normal. But then there's stuff like light score, that they don't know what that is, because I made that up. So I have database tables for that. I've got a way that interacts, how that's calculated after every import, how these scripts are all executed in order of operation. I have an order of operation for a lot of this stuff. You need to document. You have to really think about this, and you have to future-proof your system, because right now you might be I have all the ideas, and you vomit. I did this. I vomit ideas into these systems, and some of them are great, and some of them great. They look like they work together fine. Then you introduce something that breaks half of them later because there's conflicts. You build secondary systems, and you didn't realize that they're running at the same time. They're conflicting, and the data tables are being shared, and you're feeding data from two locations, and so you have to then figure out where that is, why it happened, when you built it. So if you're heavily documented after every major prompt, you go, especially after architectural changes, make sure you document this in our documentation, update, archive old code and old methods. That way we have a tracker, and then timestamp them. Timestamp. You have to timestamp them so that you know when those updates were made, and then when they were archived. It's not the cleanest way. It will make mistakes. Sometimes it'll mess things up, but for the most part, this has kept me on track. I mean, really, it has kept me on track. There's no easy way. There's no official way of doing any of this stuff. We're just operating as a full stack development team with one or two people plus a couple of agents that then 10x or whatever, 10x your output. which I think we are successfully doing. I mean, I know it's taken me forever to build the system, but I've been massaging it into production. I've been going through every nook and cranny. I know there's still a lot of little things I got to fix UI related, but it's more like functional stuff. I've been massaging the system for a while. And I think that that's the only way to build these things is you have to be super detail oriented. Whatever, if you decide you want to hand it all over to the AI and let it take stabs at everything and let it keep track of it, it won't. Because the second it runs out of memory, it'll forget what it did. It'll forget what was changed. It may pick up and guess correctly and continue on the right path, but do you want to leave it up to a guess? They are very good. They're getting really intelligent. They're getting really good at like detecting the features in the code, but it will forget about 2 days down the road, and then you need to remind it why. So the easiest way when you're starting to do a new session, especially when it has no more context to reference, you go, based on all of our reading our documentation and examining how our system works, I'm going to add this feature. Let's say, boom, I want to have a feature that, I don't know, let's say I'm adding the jewelry designer. I'm building a jewelry designer that runs on a GPU that is hosted on vast.ai, for example. I'm gonna have an API, and I'm gonna have to plug this into several components so it loads a modal with the jewelry design system that we're gonna be building. Now that's the first part of the prompt, and then you go, well, we also need to build a jewelry design system. But what I would do though is you would reference a file that you built on another session and say, we're designing this jewelry design system that does X, X, and X. This is where all the details for that system would go. For example, you go and here's the technical breakdown how I'm going to do this. So it's multi-step. If you want to make something like a sophisticated update, you need to reference 2 points in my opinion. You need to reference your already existing documentation that it takes into consideration all of the other components in your system, and then you need to create documentation about the thing you want to build. I have what we have, like for example, I have a PWA migration plan. I did this before I even built the PWA component. So I said, so I'll read this real quick. The document outlines a complete migration strategy for AMP accelerated mobile pages to TWA because I messed up. I didn't understand. I'm still learning. So I didn't know that AMP was basically depreciated. I went out of my way to build this entire AMP system, accelerated mobile pages, but then I realized, then I was made aware that it's an old tech. It basically only lasted a few years. It doesn't get used anymore. We moved on to progressive web apps, which seems to be the better architectural choice anyway, because then it allows me to then unify that with an app later. It just makes more sense in the long run. So with ChatGPT and then also with the Claude agent in Replit, decided to create a plan to do this. So I first made the plan with ChatGPT, copied over that context. Then I had it make a documentation about the migration plan, and then I started going through. I don't have time to go find the actual conversation, but it's in here. It created these phases. So if you see these phases, everything's very, 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 very well documented. So it goes through a step and it references everything. It goes through and it will double check and cross check and triple check documentation so you don't break anything. I haven't broken my website. I mean, the last time I broke it probably was 7 months, maybe 5 months ago. It was when my second or third refresh of it, I still hadn't understood you had to do all this stuff. So I go guns a-blazing and just start coding, or like telling it to code, making these changes, and I say also do this and change that and change this and change that, and you're going through like ADD. It will be as ADD as you are, and it will forget like you will, because you might have this overall vision, but it has tunnel vision. The AIs are tunnel vision systems. They will see the current task at hand and whatever context around them, and everything else is blurred out. Just assume it's like a lens. If you have it out of focus, it's you're not going to have a clear picture of everything. So you need to guide it into focus in every single scenario. And if you don't, you need to leave breadcrumbs for it. And that's what I do with these documentation. All these MD files are just breadcrumbs for the AI to know where we've been and where we plan on going on some of them, because some of them are just like actual plans. So you have to know where these are. You have to know what they are. You have to know your system and know your documentation in order to take advantage of this. Otherwise, it's pointless. If you're not going to reference these documentation files, if you're not going to know a callback to this, don't worry about it. Don't even bother. This does take a lot of planning. I mean, if you want to create cool stuff, you gotta be organized. You have to organize yourself. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on this.